me okay? Yes, almost. How's that? All right. It looks like it's 2 o'clock. We're going to do things a little differently today. We have a special guest, Rhonda Somerville. She's the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Business Development for UFCU. And we've been having a lot of...
More. They cannot hear you in the back.
Okay.
Really?
Usually I'm really good at this. Okay. We've been having a lot of scams for our residents lately. Some successful, some not. But we wanted to do an education on it. I sent out memos a couple times this year. Mrs. Somerville will do a presentation and answer some questions, and then I'll do some more of my chat presentation and also talk about scams that I've heard of and things that we can do to prevent those from happening to us. I always like to start off with a little humor. We kind of need that lately with the election and scams and everything else going on. So here we go. Special shout out to people at the laundromat using their new iPhone. You could have bought a washer and dryer for the same price. Lay's ibuprofen flavor. The official sports drink when I was a kid. It worked just fine too. Cop, what's in the bottle? Lady, just some water. Cop, ma'am, that's wine. Lady, oh my God, Jesus did it again. The people who make fitted sheets need to sit down with the people who make mattresses and get on the same page. I totally agree with this. Making the bed shouldn't be like putting a swimming cap over a fridge. When we're young, we sneak out of our house to go to parties. When we're old, we sneak out of parties to go home. I think the real reason this generation is so angry is because their music sucks. We think we're so much smarter these days, but 50 years ago, the owner's manual told you how to adjust the valves on a motorcycle. Today, it tells you not to drink the contents of the battery. True story. Baby car seats in the 1960s. If you had that, right?
Yeah, right.
At a couples counseling meeting, the speaker mentioned that couples are so disconnected that 85% of husbands don't even know their wife's favorite flower. Mick turned to his wife and whispered, "It's self-rising, isn't it?" Hydrangeas. When a kid says, "Daddy, I want mommy," that's the kid version of "I'd like to speak to your supervisor." All of my childhood punishments have become my adult goals: eating vegetables, staying home, having a nap, and going to bed early. You'd think they'd at least wait for us to rot before putting up the Christmas lights. Mom, how about from now on you stop calling me your little pumpkin? All right. We're all yours, Miss Somerville. Thank you very much for coming to do this today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. How many of you are familiar with UFCU, or University Federal Credit Union? I love it. I've been with UFCU for 29 years. I will pretty much, I've been with UFCU for 29 years. I was pretty much born there in the break room. I'm just kidding. But I wanted to cover some identity theft information with everybody because it is such a prevalent thing that is just rampant out in the community. And there's so many things to watch out for. Some of the things you've probably heard about, some of the things you might not have heard about, but rather than doing a formal presentation, I thought we would kind of do it as a chat in your format. But we'll go ahead and get started. So what is identity and information theft? So basically that is people getting your information and using it for nefarious reasons, either to get credit, to steal your identity, to get into your bank accounts, any of those sorts of things. So getting a hold of your identifiable information is what we're going to try and prevent today. A little bit of statistics. Imposter scams are the #1 scam that happens, and that's somebody pretending to be somebody either that you know, somebody that you don't know, a business that you do business with, the IRS, the police, all of those types of things, people pretending to be them in order to persuade you to provide information to them to steal your information. They do that pretty much on a regular basis. There was $10 billion in total fraud losses in the last, 2020. One of the things I like to say is back in the old days when people robbed the banks or people, they came and they robbed the bank in person, and now they actually rob the bank by doing things through online and through various means of that nature. So why do they do it? Why is it so prevalent? It is profitable. They're making a lot of money and spending it. It's easy, as we talked about the remote, easy to do business with. Everybody is online. They don't have to come in front of somebody to do anything. They're just doing everything behind the keyboard. It's unpreventable in a lot of cases. And the lack of accountability, oftentimes financial fraud isn't, the police don't take it as seriously unless it's a huge amount. If it's a small, $2,500 may be big for us, but then for them, it needs to be something even bigger. So financial crimes are hard to prosecute as well. Financial institutions also have to strike a balance between convenience for the members and for their customers by providing you access to your funds, but also then providing fraud prevention techniques, like if you go to use your debit card and it's in a weird location out of the country or some state that you're not even in, they'll flag your account and then they'll usually turn it off and then try to contact you in order to verify if that's you. Sometimes people are like, oh, I am definitely in wherever they're at, but we don't know that, and so we're trying to help prevent that fraud from happening. So it's always a good thing, the balance between access and then also losing your money. So some of the ways that your information is stolen, there's a thing called smash and grab that happens in parking lots. They can either smash the window, take your purse if you've left your purse in there. There is people that take entire mailboxes. They've got, in communities where they have big mailboxes, they'll hook something up, steal the entire mailbox bank, and take it and do stuff with the mail. Stealing debit cards, W-2s, things out of the mail of that nature. Network breaches, you've heard of, this AT&T, their information was stolen, your information was in there. There's been so many, Home Depot, so many different places. Your information gets leaked out there, and it's important, if you know that you're in those breaches, to protect yourself through your credit bureau, setting up freezes, so that you're being contacted if anybody tries to get credit or anything like that in your name. Scams, as we talked about, tricking you into giving out your personal information. Oftentimes that's by phone, by email. How many of you guys get emails that say, can you please verify this information by clicking on this link? Or you get a text message and it says, you're approved for this loan that you applied for and you never did apply for that loan. So all of those are ways to get you to click so that they can either get into your phone, get into your computer, and then take that information and do bad things with that. Phishing, vishing, smishing, those are all those types of things via email, voice. They also have now with AI, the new thing AI, they can take your voice, or they can take a family member's voice and then call somebody with that voice, and you think it's your grandchild or you think it's your daughter and they're in trouble. Oftentimes you'll get a phone call, and if you don't recognize the number, I recommend don't answer it, because anybody who knows you, you're gonna have them in your phone number, or they're gonna call back, or they'll leave a message. One thing that they do is you'll pick up the phone, you say hello, you don't hear anything, The second time you say hello, it clicks into, it's an auto dialer, it's called robo dialers. And the second time you say hello, then that's when they pick up and then they try to talk to you. So my thing is if I accidentally pick it up and I say hello one time and they don't answer me, I hang up. Because the second time is when it's gonna connect them. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you have to say hello twice, you don't wanna talk to them. If it's your family member, they're gonna answer back right away. So what do the thieves do with your information? When they get it, they get loans, credit cards, they get into your bank accounts, they take over your bank account, they buy merchandise, pay bills, and we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. So how do you protect yourself from these types of things? Keep in mind that these are some of the most common types of activities that they do. So Facebook Marketplace, does anybody sell things on Facebook Marketplace or buy things on Facebook Marketplace? That's a pretty popular place for people to buy and sell things in the community. And they will sometimes sell things that are not real. They will have you pay ahead before you get the merchandise. If you ever have to pay ahead for something that you haven't seen or touched or had a communication with them, then it's likely not going to be real. They also will, I posted something on Facebook one time and then I got the strangest text and it said, I want to buy this item from you. And I was like, okay, that's great. And they sent me some weird, they said, send me your phone number so that I can send you something, whatever. I can't remember exactly. Send them my phone number. And they sent me something with a text that said, please respond with this number back. And I was like, this is strange, this is really weird. So I Googled it, and it was a way for them to somehow take my information by me validating the number. It was going to do something. I can't remember exactly what it was going to do, but that's again the Facebook Marketplace. They have many different tactics in order to confuse you, get your information, sell you things that they never get to you. Stranded family members, so you'll often get a call or an email about a stranded family member. My mom was a victim of that. She had gotten an email from her friend that said that she was stuck somewhere and she needed help and she needed $500. So my mom's like, oh my gosh. She goes and the way to get the money was go to Western Union, so if you ever have to go out of your way to do anything, then it's not real either. So she went to the Western Union, got the $500 and sent it. Then they came back again and said, oh, that wasn't enough. I still need 500 more for whatever the purpose was. When she went back the second time, the Western Union people said, I'm not sure if this is real because this is the second time you came. And then she called her and she was at home in her living room. So if anybody ever asks you for money like that, don't just do it, assume that it's real, and call your friend or family member to validate that that is something that they are actually experiencing. When it's their job and to take advantage of people, they make it sound really convincing, they make it sound really, they want you to trust them. So that's their job, is to appear trustworthy. So just always fact check before you do anything financially. Online relationships, at the credit union, this happens quite frequently. People will develop a relationship with somebody online. It may be a romantic relationship, or it might be a friendly relationship that they never actually meet, and then they end up, somebody needs money. And so they say, can you send me some money? I need to do this, or I need to do that. Because you trust them, because you've had this long-term relationship with them, you start to send them money. We have courses and training at the credit union on a regular basis on how to identify that when somebody comes in with somebody. Sometimes you do come in with somebody, it could be a family member, it could be a friend that is persuading you to transfer them some money. So we have a way of identifying that when you come in. Online shopping from ads. I'm going to use my mom as an example in a lot of cases. She'll probably not be happy about that. But she also likes to shop online. So she'll get an ad from Instagram or from Facebook, and she's like, oh, that's an amazing product, I'm gonna purchase that. She'll purchase it, and then it never gets sent to her because it was a fake place to purchase things. So always buy from entities that you know of that are respectable companies versus new companies that you find online, because oftentimes those are just selling you fake things. IRS and taxes. How many people have been contacted about the IRS about money that you owe that's not real? Yes. Also, they can take over your, before you file your taxes, this happened to my daughter and my son. They filed their taxes about 5 years ago, they were young, filed their taxes, and were told that they had already filed their taxes. And so they had not filed their taxes. Somebody got their information before they put in their tax information and got a refund sent to them, and we had to go through this whole rigmarole to get that everything corrected. So they'll impersonate you for IRS, and then they'll also try to get you to pay them taxes that you do not owe. And then, as we talked about before, texts, to not answer to text, verify anything via text. If you get something from your credit union or bank that says we need your information, don't answer it via text or email. Log into your account separately or call and say, did you really need this information? Because oftentimes you trust, you click it, and then that's how they're going to get your information.
You didn't, have you, what about the Medicare scams? Have you heard anything about that?
So the Medicare scams are people that either they get your, I have a little bit of information in this guide that you guys picked up on the way in that talks a little bit more about that. Sometimes they'll get your Medicare ID information, go to the hospital and have services done under your ID information, and or they'll call you to get information on Medicare, to gather that information so that then they can use your insurance for their purposes. So that's something to watch out for. Inside this little booklet, there's a little bit more information on how to protect yourself from Medicare and Medicaid type scams. So I would recommend checking that out in this booklet. So how do you protect yourself? It sounds like they're just coming at you from all different directions. They're trying to get your bank account information, they're trying to get your email information, your phone numbers, all of that to be able to impersonate you or to be able to get your information. Monitor your accounts and your credit reports. So every year you're able to get a copy of your credit report for free from each of the 3 credit bureaus. So there's Equifax, oh my gosh, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can request one. I do it every quarter, so I'll do my Equifax one, and then the next quarter I'll do the TransUnion one, and then the next one I will do the Equifax or Experian. So it's important to keep an eye on that, because then you can see if anything new has popped up, so that you can dispute it and get things shut down if somebody actually accidentally got your, or not accidentally, did it on purpose. If they get your information and then have open accounts in your name. Be aware of challenge people. If they ask for your personal information, always challenge it. Don't just give them information. Who are they? Why are they asking? Usually if you have a weird feeling or a gut instinct about something that doesn't feel right, go with that, because that's usually the case. So you definitely want to trust, but verify. Be cautious when using your email, social media. How many of y'all use Facebook or Instagram and all of those sorts of things to keep up with your family and friends? A lot of times you'll get a friend request from somebody that's already your friend. And that is because they have already taken over somebody else's account, and then they're gonna try and get information from you that way. So if you know Cynthia Leach is my friend, I'm already friends with her on Facebook, and then I get a request from Cynthia Leach, I'm gonna be like, why did I get one? I'm already friends. So don't accept second friend requests. One of the ways you can kind of see that it's fake is that they'll usually have only one picture. So if you look at the Facebook profile or the Instagram profile, and you know Cynthia's got, usually 100 photos, and there's only one, and there's a limited amount of friends, it's because they've taken over her identity and then trying to gather information from their friends. That's called social engineering. They try to look like your friend to gather the information for you. Don't share passwords across multiple systems. It's really hard to not use the same password for everything, but it's good to not use the same password. It's a good idea to get everything shredded. So if you have mail that comes in that has your personal information on there, like your bank accounts and things, have a shredder shred that information so that it doesn't make its way into the trash. A lot of times people will go through the trash to find information, so you want to do that. If you become a victim, don't panic. Often anything that's bought with a credit card or a debit card is insured through the bank or through the credit card company, but it is a process. So you'll have to, do a fraud claim, go through the process of the fraud claim, get your funds back, but it is a pain and it is a hassle to go through all of that. So don't panic. I don't know how many percent of, in most cases you'll get most of your funds back. It depends on how large of a scam that was. Sometimes it has to go through the FBI, and then it takes a much longer time if it's a huge thing. Contact your financial institution and anywhere that you have funds. If you're scammed in one particular bank account, make sure your other bank accounts know that you had something happen in another bank account because they could cross across different ones. File a police report. Place an alert on your credit report. So on those TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports, you can put victim of identity theft, and then it'll prevent people from, you can do a freeze, it'll prevent people from getting credit in your name in the future, and it'll lock that down for you. You can find out more information at idtheft.gov or ic3.gov. And then also, on our UFCU landing page, our UFCU website, ufcu.org, we have a whole section on security. There's different articles, how to protect yourself against scammers, understanding phishing and smishing and vishing and all the crazy terms that they have for all the ways that they try to get your information, and how to protect yourself from tax scams, Medicare scams, all of those. So check us out online at ufcu.org. You can click on resources up on the top right, and then there's prioritize your security, and there's all kinds of articles in there for that. And then if you have questions, we have 2 team members that are part of our fraud and risk team named Matt and Josh, and they are able to take any questions that you have. They talk with members on a regular basis about things that they've experienced and help them through those questions and or issues that have arisen. So that is the presentation. And then I also printed out this document that says Your Guide to Identity Theft. There's a couple of pages in there that are really good points about creating strong passwords, verifying the legitimacy of websites, sticking with reputable retailers like we had talked about, how to avoid impersonation and confidence scams, and then what to do if you are a victim, how to report that information, and how to get yourself taken care of. So I am happy to answer any questions that anybody might have on identity theft. Yes, ma'am. Oh, we're going to bring you a microphone. There she is.
Test. This is a scam that comes to me very often, and I don't know how to get rid of it. It is from post. It's supposed to be the post office, and they can't deliver your Amazon package because, and it's different names each time. I feel like it must be a popular scam.
Yes. One thing to look at, sometimes the emails that you get look so legitimate, they use an actual Amazon post office or whatever logo, if you're online and you're looking at an email, if you look at the email address that it's coming from, it's usually a weird name. It doesn't say Amazon.com. It says like Amazon dash whatever, easy find your information.com. And so then you know it's not real. It's hard to get rid of them. I would block that phone number, block it, or report it as junk mail to your provider. Just keep ignoring them. My husband always is asking me, is this real? And I'm like, nope, it's not. He's like, why do they do this? How do they have time if they could only just use all that time for something else more productive? Oh, well, it's productive for them, I guess, but yes. Mhm.
Just a suggestion, something that I did with my credit card is I could set up alerts. So I get an alert when my credit card is used at a gas station. I always know when I filled up with gas. And I also get alerts, you can set it up for different dollar amounts. So if there's a charge over a certain dollar amount, you can get an alert about that. And that's just one way, my peace of mind, that I know whether
That's
it's my
great.
charge or not.
That is a great point. You can do that with your bank accounts too. You can set up alerts with your bank account if X amount of dollars is spent, or if you can set up multiple alerts if it's getting incoming, outgoing money, things that you don't recognize will pop up that way.
Some credit cards you can just set up for every single purchase to come through in a text, which it's hard to surprise your wife that way, but it is.
Yeah, I thought I was fairly sophisticated about fishing. Often get this picture will interest you or something, and those are always fake. But I was snagged on a party invitation. Came from a friend out of town who had moved from Austin. But the thing was, it was very legit looking, like I hadn't seen the particular one before. It was a green envelope to click on. And everything looked copacetic. And the thing that really got me was, this is a friend who moved to California, is coming back, having lunch with us here next Friday. Knew she would be in town for several days, and it was for the Saturday after we were going to have lunch with somebody who lives in California, that she's having something here. Very believable.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and several people have gotten the same invitation from me since then, of course. And I've been told that all you need to do is change your password on your email client. But since I did click on some things, I don't know whether there's further danger. What would you say about that?
It's always good to change your password if you ever get hacked like that. I would just keep an eye on your personal information just to make sure that they didn't gather any, identifying information from you that they could use for fraud. Sometimes they get in there and they do stuff and then they don't really do anything with it. They're just trying to gain information from you. I had not heard about that one before. That's very interesting. We're going to bring that to our fraud team. Thank you for sharing that. We have one up here. 2.
This morning, I got an email from Geek Squad saying they were going to, biannually, this was an automatic charge of $486. And I started looking at that, and I thought, well, I think I have used Geek Squad before. But I went to Google, and it's a scam. So, but it just seems so real.
It does. I have the similar one with Norton LifeLock. We had used that in the past, and we kept getting this email that said it's $200, and it was driving us bananas because we could not figure out did my husband do it? Did I do it? Who did it? Googled it. That's another good point, is if you're ever curious if something is real, you can Google it. Like I Googled LifeLock email scam, and it popped up, everybody was getting the same $200 email information. And so I had even called the LifeLock people, and I'm like, who ordered this? We didn't order, it looked very real. It's crazy how sophisticated they've gotten to be able to gather information.
Sergeant, did you get a look at the email address? Was it?
I will look, no, I can't now because I've
Oh, that's okay.
reported
Just
spam
curious.
and blocked it, but it had a telephone number in the email.
Yeah.
But then when I Googled it, it was a different telephone number for Geek Squad.
Yeah.
So if I had called that number, I don't know.
They would have asked you to give your credit card number to
Yep,
pay.
probably.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I've been doing something, and I hope this isn't terrible. Every time I get an email from an advertiser that I don't want, I just write in capital letters, STOP, and send it back. And I don't ever get any more, and I've been doing it with all the political things I've gotten.
Mhm.
I write but it has to be capital letters, STOP, and send, but I do punch the button for it to go back.
Mhm. Is that via text, on your text messages?
On text, I delete and report,
Mhm.
or report and delete, but, this is on email. But I don't know if that's good, but they never send me another.
What I do is if I know that it's something like a political thing, they're just gonna keep sending it, I set up a rule to automatically send it to the trash. And so sometimes when you do respond, then you're validating your email. So in this case, it's working for you because they've stopped sending you.
Even for all the political things, every
Mhm.
time I write stop, they don't send any more. But,
Yep.
but you haven't heard that any dangerous.
No. I just know that if you do respond to some, that is validating your email. They can't really do a whole lot with your email. If you have somebody's phone number and or their email, you can find out pretty much anything. This is very scary. You can find out anything about anybody, where they live, who they're married to, all of that. My mom was talking with somebody, she got their phone number, and I said, let me have their phone number, I'm gonna look them up. And I just put in their phone number in a database, ID, you call it. Search about this person, and I was able to find out who they were, what their name was, who they were married to, their age, their home, their last home, their last home, their last home. So you can get pretty much anything with a phone number or an email, so be careful about sharing your emails and your phone numbers as well, because people can gather. I couldn't get any financial information, but I could get enough information about them to start something if I ever wanted to. So somebody could do that if they get your information. Yes.
I've been using with my financial institutions what I think is called a two-phase login, where I log in and they send me then a code that I have to enter. Now, I've heard from a relative that that's no longer considered reliable. Can you comment on that?
We like that, to have two-factor authentication, because that does require a two-part. That's also, you can set that up on your emails as well, so that if somebody does try to get it, your information, it does send an email a text or an email to you, so that you can validate that that is real, or you can authenticate your ID before you give out any information. So we do that at the UFCU.
Yeah, we moved all of our systems to that too, because it's better than one part.
Yep, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I love the stories. This helps everybody kind of hear what other people are experiencing too, so that if you have the same thing, it does help you as well.
I have a lot of stories, but two quick questions. One is, I see now that many of the major hospital systems in Austin are requiring you to use your social security number, not just the last 4 digits. And these systems are so large, one never knows whether you're really giving your social security number to a hospital system like Ascension, or whether it's fake, or if they can be That's one question. Second, I find Facebook security to be very bad. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions. One is, that bothers me, is I'm constantly seeing my picture come up asking me to friend me.
And you're already friends.
So much as I know.
You're your best friend. I would think that you're getting asked to friend yourself because somebody has created a fake one. And so it's pulling it up, because I have two. I have one that was a work one, and I have one that was a personal one, and I get that. That means there's two. And so I would, you know which one's your real one, I would report the other one. And you can report that through Facebook. Facebook is just really bad. I've had my information redirected, like they've taken over my Facebook and then had somebody else's email. So I'm like, who is this? This email isn't, I had to go through a whole rigmarole to get it back to my email and my phone number, and I locked it down with the two-factor authentication so that if somebody does want to ever change my email, change my information, it has to send me information to validate that first. Then you just have to remember your own passwords. That's the other part. That's the hard part. But yes. As far as the hospital question, I am not sure. Every places do have the ability to get hacked, and that information does get shared and ends up on the dark web. And so that's why it's so important to watch your credit report, keep an eye on your information, put freezes. If they give you, we'll pay for a year of monitoring, go ahead and do that. That's always a good idea. But you can also monitor yourself by, watching your credit reports.
So they're asking you for your entire social security number with any interaction? Or is it for payments, or when you go to the emergency? Maria, can you?
Yeah, it's how you get into the system.
Respond to that
I
question.
just want to hear, sorry, I want to.
They're very complicated systems. My wife is using it all the time, and they don't even know sometimes how she got what she got. But they often ask you for your total social security number. I used to never give that out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now, in these hospital systems, they're asking for it. Of course, Medicare is part of my
Mm-hmm.
Right.
payment method, and so.
I think I can speak loud enough without the mic, but
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just absolutely refuse to give out my social security number, and I do not give it to Ascension or St. David's or anybody, period. So, just telling you, they can't do anything about you refusing it. And they don't.
Nothing's happened with they haven't pushed back?
No.
That's good.
Yeah, I would be leery about doing that too.
At one point, it was, they were trying to change everything from any social security numbers because of people's identity. So I haven't heard about that happening yet at the hospitals.
If you have a freeze on your credit with one of the credit agencies, does that freeze the other two as well, or do you have to freeze with each one?
You usually have to freeze with each one, but sometimes if you freeze on one, it'll connect you to the other one, and it'll connect you to the other one to make them all freeze. And what happens is if you, even if yourself, you try to go and get a credit card or do whatever, it won't allow you to do that, and then you have to call and unfreeze it, which is all fine and dandy. I'd rather do that than somebody get my information. And then you can unblock it, do your credit, and then refreeze it.
Is the Westminster website considered public?
There's a public-facing part of the website and then a private. So like if you're using the resident portal and you log in to the resident portal, then you're on the private Westminster portal. If you're on the public-facing, then that's public. Anybody can get to that information. But that's why we don't put like your apartment numbers and things like that on the public-facing.
Another tip is when you're creating passwords, I just saw one thing over there. When you're creating passwords, try and make it not anything that has to do with your family or your address or your birthday or
Yeah, don't
anything like
use your
that.
birthday.
And try and use upper and lowercase and symbols so that it's hard to, because there's generators out there that'll try to generate every number combo or every letter combo. So the more that you can differentiate your password, the better.
Yeah.
Google offers a password, they will take your password and, no, what they'll do is they'll give you a very complicated password, which they keep track of, so you don't have to go and create your own password. How safe is that?
I have a hard time with that because if you don't save it and then you try to get into another, back in, you don't know what your password is because it was so complicated. There are services out there that'll store your passwords and things like that. I think that they're okay, but nothing's ever foolproof. Where there's a will, there's a way with the criminals.
Anybody else want to share a scam story?
Scam stories, today's the day.
Chuck, can I say one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Wells Fargo's right here by 35th Street, down here where Randall's used to be. Well, one day, me and my husband went and deposited a check, and at the time he went inside, I was outside, so I went on the phone, on the app, to check that he already had deposited, but at the time that I opened it, I guess somebody got into, I don't know, was doing something that right away when I opened the app, they got $700. So what I did, I just ran right away inside. And I said, I want to talk to customer service, because somebody just got $700 out of my account when my husband is depositing a check now. So, I did a claim and everything, and they gave me my money back. But it took a while, but they did. So I think when you're in the bank, don't open your app. Yeah, because at the same time, there should be somebody's out there, and that's when they get your information. Because that's what I did. I opened their the app with my password and everything, and that was when they got my money out. That minute.
You were in a public place, right?
I was right there outside the bank.
Right, so you're in a public Wi-Fi setting
Yes, that
instead
is
of being
correct.
in a private Wi-Fi setting,
Yes.
which makes you even more vulnerable.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Public Wi-Fi.
yeah.
Are you saying that it's better then to use Face ID rather than a password?
It would be the same, I think. I think it would be the same.
But the app wouldn't open.
No, I think they went into when I open it. The minute that I open the app with my password and everything, that's when they went into it.
There's some crazy things like when you go to, put your card in like a gas pump, there's scammers or skimmers
Yes.
that are kind of
Yes.
generating everybody who's using their card in the pump right now, and it'll somehow make its way from there
Yes.
to the device
Yes.
that they're in the area.
How many of you are using the tap feature on your card instead of inserting it? Okay, stop doing that. Yeah, it's really vulnerable. It's much better to insert the card with the chip than it is to use that tap feature because it's so easy to hack into. And it's a public, they're getting into the Wi-Fi systems. They're sitting in a car in the parking lot
Yes.
and they're skimming the information
Yes.
from your card. Yeah.
So why are the banks issuing those now?
Why aren't they issuing the
Why
chip?
are they all of a sudden?
I wish I had our
Because
fraud guy here
it's
today.
handy, I guess, I don't know, but they're telling us that that's not the recommended way to purchase. You should use your chip card
Yeah.
and insert your chip. as opposed to just tapping it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another case happened to me too, that, I was gonna get out money because I was doing a party to my granddaughter, so I was gonna take a good amount out. So I went inside the bank and I took the money and I just walked out and I went to my second job and I went and changed my clothes. It didn't took me 2 minutes. They broke into my car and they took my money. And it was a good amount. It was 20,000. But I was so lucky. God was with me. The sheriff stopped them. They were speeding, and they returned my money back. Yes. But yeah, so never go inside and get money because they could be outside. I mean, there are people outside,
That's
and
true.
they'll follow you.
That's called jugging.
That's culture. Yes,
It's
that
called
is right.
jugging, and
They'll
they-
follow you.
Don't leave your money in the car.
Don't leave your money in the car.
Yeah, that's true.
But they watch people go in.
They watch
and come out with money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because now you just could go through the drive-through and you could get money, but go inside, what that means, that you're gonna get a good money out.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Be careful, it is dangerous.
Stranger danger.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy there's this many stories, isn't it?
Yeah, I guarantee you, everyone here has had a scam call or something in this year, right? Anybody that hasn't? One?
Wow.
I,
Yeah, you're lucky.
I have been hacked on my PCs 3 times, and so I switched to Apple back of more than a decade ago, and I was still hacked on that one. And one of the ways that, even though it's very hard to do hacking into a Mac, is if you're using a web and you're trying to use an app and it says that the app needs update, and don't do the update directly, because one time the PDF I was going to be using, and the PDF needs updated, I said okay, and I was hacked. So apparently in even Mac Apple system, you can actually be hacked through using web when you're using, so be careful.
If you're ever on a website and you're going to pay for something, it usually has a secure lock in the top of the address, and it'll say HTTPS with those slashes, and you're in a secure spot when you're there. Don't ever pay for anything that you don't know is broken. Don't ever pay for anything to get fixed that you didn't call to get fixed, or provide information to people that you don't recognize, and always validate. Hang up with them, call the bank, call the credit card company, call the electricity company, whoever it is that's trying to get you to do something, and go directly to them or go directly to their website into your own account.
And never bend over to pressure tactics, right?
No pressure.
If they're asking for something immediately, don't do it. It's always gonna be a scam.
Yeah, nothing's that urgent.
Right.
It can wait.
Even Westminster will never call and say, we need your money.
Well, they did for me for the auction last week.
I've had a problem a couple of times that hasn't been mentioned yet, and that is I've received emails thanking me for payments that I never made, presumably asking you to call back. So that's another problem that may be coming up from time to time.
I get bank warnings when Westminster withdraws their money.
It's good. Yeah. That's that.
Auto payment?
My wife gets a warning if I buy $1 pack of gum.
You haven't mentioned the security key. Do you recommend security keys to your customer? Are you familiar with security keys?
Oh, on the, can you explain a little bit more?
Excuse me?
Can you explain a little bit more?
It's, you set up the device to secure your computer for the most part. It's a key you can buy on Amazon. You create a secure location by inserting the key into the USB slot, and then you use your fingerprint to verify who you are. When I log off Google, to be able to get back onto my Google account, I have to use my security key.
I have not heard of that before. That's a new one for me. Does anybody else use one of those devices? You use it too?
I do not ever answer a donation request over the phone. I tell them to send me a letter requesting donations, and that's even the companies and things that I do. So I never get my credit card over the phone.
That's a good practice.
I just had a following question. I gotten these scams that say the post office has a package with an invalid zip code. At any rate, what I do with that, I first read the thing and then I delete it. Have I gone too far already?
No, as long as you didn't click on anything, you should be okay.
Well, I click on the message itself.
That's okay.
Just don't click on any links within the message.
Yeah.
That's when they're gonna get your information.
Okay, thank you.
And block those senders if you can.
Yeah,
Try
block
and
them.
put it in junk mail or block it so that they'll stop sending from that address.
I just want to make a general comment. As a person who used to work for a software company, and we had to build security into our software, every software package can be hacked, and the security software can be bypassed by a clever program. Because basically, all of these software security checks, basically the programmer is going to be confronted by a function that he sends information to, and it's either going to come back true or false, whether it's okay or not okay. And all that a hacker has to do is locate that function and to program it to give the answer that he wants to give in order to get into that software. So that's my first comment. The second comment is, ask yourself, why do these companies give you some service for free? The reason they do it is to get information on you that they can then sell or use themselves to generate other sales in some manner where you are the product. So I have a really hard time utilizing things like Google Mail and any password locker that would be provided for free from any company like that. I wouldn't touch that in a million years. I pay for a Spectrum account so I can have a private email account. I don't want to use Gmail or iCloud Mail or any of those. I don't use them because why would a company give you some service like that for free? Just think about it.
Thank you. I also have two different Gmails. I have one that is for junk stuff and one that's my real one. So that only my companies that I work with get my real one, and if it's anything that I'm not, like some retailer or whatever, I have the other one, so that they kind of stay separated.
I have registered and frozen my account with all three credit card agencies. Do I have to do that every year?
No, once you freeze it, it should be good. No. How many other people have done that already? That's good.
That's
That's
great.
really a great idea. Yes, it really is.
Anybody? Any questions?
How do you do that?
Oh, how do you freeze your credit report? You can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can register for your free annual credit report. I'll send you the link and then
Okay.
you can send it out. Because there's two different ones. One's not legit and one is legit. So I want to definitely send you the right one. But you can go to each of those credit bureaus and set up a freeze. And it doesn't cost you anything. It'll just, it'll freeze.
I'll send that out in a memo to follow up to this meeting. And this presentation will be on the resident portal as well.
This happened to be here in Westminster, and some of you know about it, some of you don't. But I travel the world and I have friends all over the world. But everybody wants to get my mailing list. And I'm often represented as being in Manila, which I am sometimes, and run out of money. But the most unusual one I got was here at Westminster in this community where somebody got hacked into my computer and said, I've run out of money and I need to get my niece a present and I need an Amazon card. One of the persons here, I guess I won't name him.
It wasn't me, right? Yeah.
No, it wasn't you. But one of the persons here read that and took out a $300 Amazon gift card. I met him at dinner within the hour, and I said, you know, I've been scammed, and I explained it to him. And he went up and ran back to his room and stopped payment on the check. So, because they're stealing your friends at Westminster when they raid your computers, I would suggest to everyone, before you send a check, call up the resident and verify that that wasn't something other than a hack. Because they'll go through this community like a hot knife through butter.
They'll do that also with companies. They'll have an email go out from the president or some other person, a high-ranking person, and say, I need your help with gathering, I need to get 4 gift cards for our clients or whatever. And then they'll send it to like an intern, or they'll send it to somebody who's gonna trust that really came from the president. And then they ask you to get a gift card. If they ever ask you to get a gift card, that's not a legit thing.
That's happened here at Westminster from me. It wasn't from me, but they pretended to be me and asked for iTunes gift cards.
Yep.
And I told the department heads, I will never ask you for an iTunes gift card, so don't worry about that.
Yep, that happened with one of our interns, and they went out and they got the gift cards, and they said, oh, we got the gift cards, and they said, okay, scrape off the back and tell us what the numbers are, and blah, 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 and that should have been our first clue. But then they're like, oh, no, we needed one more.
Mr. Osley, would you tell your story to everybody, please? I know, thank you so much. And I really want you to pay attention to this.
I talk slowly.
That's okay.
It's 15 minutes long, but I'll cut it to 2.
Okay, all right.
Okay, if my mother was here, she would say that I'm above average intelligence, but my wife would not say that. We were across the street a few months ago walking to Camp Mabry, and my telephone rang, and it was a lawyer, and he told me my son had been arrested and he was in jail, and my son was going to call me in a few minutes to verify that, and I needed to get money to get him out and bail. My son is a very responsible person, but he said there had been an accident, and he had also been arrested for DWI at 9:30 in the morning. My son doesn't drink, but my phone rang 5 minutes later, and my son was on the phone, and he said, Dad, I've been arrested, I'm in jail, I need you to follow the instructions of this lawyer and get me out, and secondly, you know, don't tell my sisters. And I said, well, of course. And so I'm running across Camp Mabry to get to my car, and my wife and the dog are behind us, and I I go, we gotta go, we gotta go. She gets in the car, I'm driving up to Bank of America to make a withdrawal. And she said, well, how much? And, you know, I can't remember, it's like $40,000 or $50,000. She said, you don't have that kind of money. You can't make a withdrawal. Well, listen, call those people in Dallas and have them transfer. I've got to have the money. I've got to get my son out of jail. You just call me. No, you can't do that. We're in the parking lot at Bank of America when she finally strangles me enough to say, look, you know a lot of lawyers, pick up the phone and call one and check this guy out. So I call a friend of mine and I have this number, a case number that he's given me of my son. We call. He said, I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. You know, of course, no such case number. My son's not in jail. And as we're sitting there for that 5 minutes, my intelligent wife said, why don't you call him? I pick up the phone, I call him. He answers, Greg, where are you? Well, Dad, you know, I have these Zoom calls in the morning. I'm sitting here in the den. You're not in jail? I mean, I was totally and completely pulled in. And the reason I was pulled in so much is I kept saying to Robbie, I was talking to Greg. It was Greg that was having the conversation with me. But I was asked, what about this? What about that? Subsequently, I find out, as I think Chuck said, you can say 2 or 3 words to them and AI can create an entire conversation. So be careful and hopefully have somebody in your life that's more intelligent than you are.
Well, and you care for your son naturally, absolutely, and because of that, they're preying on that, and so you know just be really careful. If you get a situation like that, come to us if nothing else, okay? And we've prevented a few of these cases already this year. Fortunately, we're not catching everything, so just be careful out there, okay? Really think about it. Don't let that immediate pressure and that call of, oh my gosh, urgency, fool you, okay? Contact, call, pick up the call, phone and call your grandson, call your daughter, find out from them, directly. Don't fall for these scams, okay? I'm gonna stop because I always stop at an hour. I'm gonna post my presentation, our presentation on the portal, and we'll also have copies available at the reception desk if you need them, okay? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Be careful out there. Thank you very much.